everyone, welcome to another episode of the Performance Cafe. And today we've got a really practical discussion, and I think one of the real sticklers when it comes to resilience. So I have a bit of an admission to make. In the past week, I cut my thumb quite badly, and resilience has not been something that I've been really good about. But one thing I did notice is that part of the problem, what I did is I actually just cut myself in the kitchen and while making food, and I actually made the world's silliest mistake, to the point where when it happened, I remember my mom saying to me, watch out, the mandolin will chew your finger if you do that. So I was forewarned, right? And when I was thinking about, well, while I was dealing with this and I was thinking about resilience, I was like, well, isn't that exactly almost the worst case where you need resilience, is when the challenge that you're facing is self-inflicted. So I did this to myself. I was entirely home alone. I had grown up knowing that this could happen one day, and I actually went and I got it right. And I realized that, one of the worst parts of the story is I'm going to have to admit that I did this to myself and that I was forewarned. And so I think that there's a part of resilience that I'd like to talk about today, is what happens when we have to weather a storm, but we actually cause it ourselves. And I think one of the first parts of it is that, literally in my mind, the first thing was my mom's voice going, this is going to happen one day if you don't do that properly. So immediately my sense of shame was there. I mean, my mom passed away. She doesn't even know this happened, but, I feel shame. I feel embarrassment. I feel guilt. I feel judged. And how often at work doesn't it happen that we do make the mistake and we cause a problem, and then it blows back on ourselves? And I think that that's one of the first places where we kind of have that sense of, well, I don't want to need resilience because I never want to make a mistake or go through a difficult situation. But what I really love is Susan David. You guys know I often quote her. She's the author of Emotional Agility. She's a Harvard Medical School psychologist. I loved when she said that discomfort is the price of admission to a meaningful life. And what she means by it is that when we come across these moments, even shame, embarrassment, guilt, feeling judged, what happens is we've got the opportunity to make meaning of it. And anyone who's read Frankl's work, Man's Search for Meaning, will know that we're basically meaning-making machines. So we do want to make meaning of everything. But I think that it's up to us to decide whether this is a negative or a positive moment, right? Silly thing like my hand. Yes, it was negative. It wasn't fun. It was very sore, and I've had to go for multiple doctor's visits and stuff like that. But, on the upside, I didn't lose my finger. I didn't become entirely dysfunctional. I'm not going to, for the rest of my life, having to face this moment. It's kind of uncomfortable now, but it's not pervasive, right? So I think what happens is when we're in these moments where we get pushed out of our comfort zone, then there's an opportunity to ask ourselves, how can I make this different? How can I make this end differently? So, I mean, one of the easy things is gratitude for everything I actually didn't do wrong on that day. I actually did take proper care of it. I did get myself to a hospital. I do have a hospital close by. I can afford to go to the hospital. There's so much to be grateful for. So, yeah, it's not great that it happened, but really, is it the calamity that I've turned it into? And so when we take a look at life and creating a meaningful life and getting over these things that we do to ourselves, I think that one of the really, really great books I want to draw from today is that of Anti-Fragility by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. And in his book, what I really love is that he says, when we become anti-fragile, it doesn't mean that we don't take life's knocks or that we are impervious to them, but actually we grow better through them. So let's just quickly take a look at fragility. To be fragile, i.e., I need resilience to get past my own fragility, the opposite of fragile is robust. But we don't want to become robust, because what happens is when we become robust, we can take life's knocks without it impacting us. That is not anti-fragile. That's just robust. It means I'm impervious. But what happens with impervious people and things is one day they will meet their comeuppance and then they cannot bounce back because they are not robust. They're not resilient. They just get taken down by it. I know that one of the examples that I always know about this, that I've always seen this, is how people love working with South Africans, because we are so used to working in a country that sometimes doesn't work as well as it should, that we're quite robust, that we're not robust, that we're quite resilient, and we find ways to do things, right? But in his book, Taleb speaks about the Hydra from Greek mythology, where when one part gets cut off, two parts will grow, right? And so not only does it mean that challenge is impacting, but actually that you come through it stronger, not just healed, not just safe, but that you come through it stronger for this. And I know that I've had a lot of really, really nasty things happen in life where actually my mindset was what got me through it better or worse off. Did I cave? Was I fragile? Did it break me? Or was I anti-fragile? Did I get through it and then also use it to move forward and to be better and to be more and to know more and to share that learning with people so that they also can become anti-fragile? So how do we do this? How do we build this anti-fragility? Now, aside from Taleb's books, I've got a path of my own that I like to follow, and that's called the growth mindset. And you guys would have heard me speak about it before, where I go, I haven't done it yet. I haven't learned yet. I haven't healed yet, but I'm on my way. And what I find is that in the process of yet, there is this learning. And I will sit down and go, well, what have I learned? Well, firstly, how not to use a mandolin. Secondly, what I've learned is actually that I can write with my left hand, which I never realized, but I can actually write quite legibly with it. What else have I learned? Well, actually, I've learned that I've got the most amazing community of people around me, because when this happened and my finger was in a worse state and my whole hand was swollen and everything, people came to me and they supported me and they brought me food or came to my house and took the food that was in the fridge that meant to be made and they made it. They came and sat with me and listened to an audiobook just so that I'm not alone. So I've learned quite a lot. Now, how do I incorporate that? So now that I've learned that, I've had this moment where I was fragile, and while I was healing and becoming, better, I learned these things about people and about myself. My next question is, how will I incorporate it? How am I going to make sure that going forward, I've taken something from this? Well, maybe I'll continue to write with my left hand every once in a while and become ambidextrous, because that's kind of a neat thing to do. But also, how do I incorporate what I've learned about the community around myself? And how do I reward them for that? How do I support when someone needs it? And I do support, but what I found really interesting was that people would come and sit and just listen to a book with me. They weren't actively trying to heal me or fix me. So how do I incorporate the next time someone I know needs something? And then how will I use this to improve my situation and those of others? Well, knowing how to support friends when they are in similar situations, learning that I don't have to fix the problem, but I can just go and sit and be with them. And then how does this align with my values? Well, firstly, I am now proven myself to be quite resilient. So this I know. I've always been very independent, and learning that actually when things go wrong, I can bring myself back from that challenge. I can rise above it. I have, between myself and my friends, the ability to bounce back and bounce forward and to become anti-fragile. Well, maybe anti-fragility now becomes part of my values, not just for myself, but for how I deal with my friends and how I help them to become anti-fragile, and maybe even my clients in my coaching practice. So today I wanted to make sure that everyone understands that as much as we don't want challenges and we don't want to have to learn to face challenges, especially those silly ones that we feel that we've inflicted upon ourselves, that actually being outside our comfort zones can be quite rewarding. It'll teach us more about ourselves, but also of those around us, and that we can actually become anti-fragile in the process, where being damaged, being hurt, going through a challenge actually helps us come out stronger. And that using a growth mindset and a couple of cool questions, I think we can find a way to learn from these situations and grow, and also help others to learn and grow as well. Right, so that's for us for today. I'm going to get back to my coffee. The heat helps my hand. As always, if you've enjoyed the episode, we'd invite you to go and look on all our social media channels for not only our episodes on resilience, but all other kinds of topics. And then if you'd like to read more about this, please feel free to visit performforward.com, where we have these available as blogs for you. And then I'm going to carry on here, and then I will see you next time at the Performance Cafe.